Lars Gunnar Larsson, member of Royal Swedish Academy of Engineering and Science, member of Vattenfall Nuclear Safety Advisory Council, Global Energy Prize Laureate 2014, Master of Engineering and Doctor of Technology, Reactor Physics, Chalmers. He was head of Office of Inspection and Deputy Director General Swedish Nuclear Power Inspectorate, head Energy and Environmental Policy Federation of Swedish Industry, head Department of Nuclear Safety, EBRD in London, responsible for Russia, Ukraine, Lithuania and Bulgaria. So please welcome our moderator, Lars Gunnar Larsson.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and warmly welcome to this plenary session. As you understand, my home country is Sweden, and I have the pleasure and responsibility to give the moderator today. I started the nuclear industry in 1968. Without any kind of regret, I've stayed in that section since then. But enough talk about me. The theme for the plenary session is nuclear energy is the basis of a low-carbon energy balance. And the organizers have managed to put together 9 distinguished panelists who will give their views on this theme from different perspectives. The rule of the game is that at first I give each of the panelists one question. He will have 3 to 4 minutes for his answer. Then we continue our discussion, and at the end, each of the speakers will be asked to give a 1-minute resume. Then the audience, you, will be able to express their views on a few questions that we'll see on the screen. We'll vote by using special panels. If someone didn't take it at the entrance, there will be people who can help you with that in the hall. It's quite a tough schedule, so let's start immediately. In Paris Climate Summit, the Paris Climate Summit outlined the global vector to change the world energy balance in the direction of getting the important energy sector free from CO2 emissions. An agreement was reached about the reduction of greenhouse gases emissions to prevent global average temperatures increase of more than 1.5 degrees Celsius compared with the pre-industrial rates. This will require reducing of the greenhouse gases emissions to basically zero by the year 2050. This is really a challenging task, that's for sure. So it's not more than natural that we first want to have the perspective from an environmental organization. So I welcome Bruno Combi, who is the president of the organization Environmentalists for Nuclear Energy. Bruno is a famous French nuclear physicist, environmentalist, explorer and traveler. He's the author of 10 best-selling books with over 1 million readers, published and translated into many languages. So please give us some explanation as to why the environmental community considers that nuclear energy is green. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Privyet. Ladies and gentlemen, as an environmentalist, I would like to give you a viewpoint of why nuclear energy is green and a clean energy. So maybe we can have my PowerPoint slides, if possible, on the screen. Some environmentalists, until now, are opposed to nuclear energy, but in fact there are very good environmental and especially solid scientific reasons to be in favor of nuclear power, because it is an essential part of a zero-carbon lifestyle. The greenhouse gas effect is the biggest challenge we have to face. Our planet is warming up. In the 20th century, it has already warmed up by almost 1 degree Celsius. And we are now burning in just 50 years the oil that nature has taken 100 million years to fabricate. This is clearly not sustainable, and it is not eco-friendly. Today, almost 90% of our energy is carbon-based. And we have to go to a world in the future where most of our energy will be zero carbon. Now this is a major challenge we have to face. Because wind, geothermal, and solar hardly account for about 3% of the supply today, we really have a great challenge to face. It's a tiny amount. And we need another massively available energy source. And for the moment, there is no other than nuclear power. As an environmentalist, I grew up in the African jungle in Gabon and the Canadian forest. Then I became a nuclear engineer in France, and now I live in the coast suburbs of Paris in a passive eco house, which I built partly myself, which requires very little energy. And I also drive an electric car, therefore making the practical experience of a zero carbon lifestyle today in real life. So this is not only a dream. I have been for the last 4 years now with my eco house and my electric car a zero carbon citizen. And I have two good news for you today. The first one is that the zero carbon lifestyle is feasible. It's not just a dream. It can be done. But it requires nuclear power, and we're very lucky in France to have it. So now that the skies are on, so here you can see my house with the solar panels on the roof, just 20 square meters with 12 panels, solar panels, provides more energy than I need over the year. But of course, I need more energy in winter, and it's available predominantly in summer. So I'm still connected to the French electric grid for nuclear power as a backup, which is absolutely necessary. You can see also my electric car. The second good news is that in order to have this zero carbon lifestyle, you do not need to go back to candlelight and living in caves like in the Middle Ages. You can maintain warm homes, good lifestyle, plentiful showers with hot water. So my house requires very, very little energy in general and near zero carbon. Now, once you have a zero carbon house, you still need to have zero carbon transportation unless you stay in your home all day and do nothing. So cars, electric cars are the solution here. You can see the Renault Zoe on the top left, which is my electric car. It's very convenient, takes you everywhere with a 150-kilometer range. And if you buy a little more expensive car like the Tesla Model S, you can go throughout Europe. And in only 2 years from now, we will have the cheaper electric cars, the Renault Zoe with double the range. Okay. Wind energy is dilute and intermittent. It can help, but it will not save the planet. Solar energy also helps, but only, of course, when the sun shines. It is also intermittent and needs another major backup. Today, only nuclear power is both abundant, cheap enough, available when it is needed in massive quantities to power our major factories, cities, and our industrial world. Nuclear waste is very little. What makes nuclear power so different is the factor 1 million. 1 gram of uranium, ladies and gentlemen, is as much energy as 1 ton of oil. 1 gram to 1 ton is a factor 1 million. Now that is a huge step forward to a zero carbon world in the future. Most people are afraid of radiation, but in fact, radiation is everywhere in nature. We have radiation in the earth, telluric radiation. We have radiation in the sky. It's called cosmic radiation. The sun is radioactive. Even our own body is radioactive. So one of my favorite activities when I go on holiday is to travel to different countries and areas around the planet, which are called the hotspots. There are radioactive hotspots in nature, which are usually very famous for their benefits on health. Now that's rather something of a surprise. So here you can see me in Montana last summer. I'll go very fast. Now France is a good example, but Christophe will tell you more about this, with 90% zero carbon energy already. In the future, we will have even cleaner reactors with the fourth generation, and of course, Russia is a front runner in this domain. Just a few words about EFN, the Association of Environmentalists for Nuclear Energy, which I created in 1996. It now gathers over 12,000 members and supporters in 65 countries, and our mission is to inform the public, the journalists and the politicians about the many benefits of nuclear power for our daily life and for the future. Here you can see my good friend James Lovelock, who is considered as the historical founder of environmental thinking. And another good friend, which is Patrick Moore, he was the co-founder of Greenpeace in 1971 in Vancouver. I will spend this year, I will spend the month of July with him, hiking and fishing in Vancouver Island in Canada with my 10-year-old son. At the end of this short presentation, I would just like to underline that we have only one planet, that it is very beautiful but very fragile, and that we should ensure a livable future for our children. We are very lucky that we have a solution which is called nuclear energy. So thank you very much for your attention. Here are our websites, and you are kindly invited next time you visit Paris area to come and visit us. Моя пожалуйста. Спасибо. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Bruno Combi. We'll continue with the same theme as for all panelists, and we also should have the same environmental perspective, but now from the governmental environmental perspective. And I will start with a question to Semyon Levi. He is a Deputy Minister of Natural Resources and Ecology in Russia. He is responsible for the Department of State Policy and Regulations in the part of Water Resources and the Federal Service for Hydrometeorology and Environmental Monitoring. And my question to you is, how do you, as a regulator, evaluate the decisions of the climate summit? How far is your country ready for the decisions in Paris? Or in other words, how will Russian Federation fulfill its obligation regarding the Paris Climate Summit? The floor is yours, Semyon Levi.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Прежде всего, разрешите зачитать приветственное слово от имени министра природных ресурсов и экологии Российской Федерации в адрес Международного форума. От имени Министерства природных ресурсов и экологии Российской Федерации и себя лично приветствую вас на 8-м международном форуме «ATOMEXPO-2016». Сегодня, кроме возобновляемых источников энергии, существенное место в энергетической инфраструктуре нашей страны должна занимать экологически чистая атомная энергетика, обеспечивающая безуглеродный энергобаланс России. За последние несколько лет в России принят целый ряд нормативно-правовых актов, сформировавших основу для перехода российских отраслей экономики на наилучшие доступные технологии. Уверен, что атомная отрасль всегда будет находиться в авангарде этих изменений. Более того, она может стать драйвером перехода предприятия на самые современные экологически безопасные принципы управления производством. Уверен, что данный форум станет прекрасной площадкой для продуктивного информационного обмена между государством, бизнесом и общественными организациями, масштабированием наилучшего опыта в сфере зеленой экономики. Желаю всем участникам и гостям ATOMEXPO-2016 плодотворной и интересной работы. Министр природных ресурсов и экологии Российской Федерации Сергей Ефимович Донской. Ну и сейчас я перейду к основному сообщению, как Россия выполняет свои обязательства в отношении Парижской встречи по климату. Как вы знаете, 12 декабря 2015 года решением 21-й конференции сторон рамочной конвенции ООН об изменении климата принято Парижское соглашение. Парижское соглашение придет на смену Киотскому протоколу, срок которого истекает в 2020 году. Заместитель председателя правительства Российской Федерации Александр Геннадьевич Хлопонин 22 апреля 2016 года подписал соглашение от имени Российской Федерации в штаб-квартире Госассамблеи ООН в Нью-Йорке. В отличие от Киотского протокола, в Парижском соглашении отсутствуют количественные обязательства сторон по снижению выбросов парниковых газов. Глобальная цель по количественным показателям ограничения выбросов обозначена как удержание прироста глобальной средней температуры намного ниже 2 градусов, сверх до индустриальных уровней и приложение усилий в целях ограничения роста температуры до 1,5 градусов по Цельсию, а также повышения способности адаптироваться к изменению климата. Исходя из своих заявлений на саммите ООН по проблеме изменения климата в сентябре 2014 года и на 20-й конференции сторон в Лиме в декабре 2014 года Российская Федерация в марте 2015 года представила в секретариат рамочной конвенции ООН свой определяемый на национальном уровне вклад в сокращение выбросов парниковых газов. Долгосрочной целью ограничения антропогенных выбросов парниковых газов в Российской Федерации является показатель в 70-75% к 2030 году от выбросов 90-го года, при условии максимально возможного учета поглощающей способности лесов. Речь идет об ареальных лесах. В настоящее время в Российской Федерации идет подготовка национального плана реализации комплексных мер по совершенствованию государственного регулирования выбросов парниковых газов и подготовки к ратификации самого Парижского соглашения. План включает мероприятия по таким направлениям, как создание в Российской Федерации системы государственного регулирования выбросов парниковых газов, разработка стратегических документов в данной сфере, а также мероприятия, необходимые для осуществления процедуры ратификации Парижского соглашения. Хочу отметить, что еще до подписания Парижского соглашения в Российской Федерации вопросам предотвращения негативного изменения климата придавалось огромное значение. С целью предотвращения климатических изменений в стране приняты такие стратегические документы, как климатическая доктрина Российской Федерации в 2009 году, план по ее реализации в 2011 году, указ президента Российской Федерации о сокращении выбросов парниковых газов в 2013 году, план мероприятий по обеспечению к 2020 году сокращения объема выбросов парниковых газов 2014 год. И, наконец, концепция формирования системы мониторинга, отчетности и проверки выбросов парниковых газов Российской Федерации в 2015 году и другие. Указанные нормативно-правовые акты и программы определяют долгосрочную стратегию безопасного и устойчивого организационно-хозяйственного, экономического и социального развития в условиях изменяющегося климата. Можно сказать, что в настоящее время Российской Федерации принят вектор низкоуглеродного развития экономики и сформированы основы его реализации. Сейчас идет разработка дополнительных нормативных документов, обеспечивающих достижение установленной цели в отдельных отраслях и секторах экономики. Что касается роли ядерной энергетики в безуглеродном балансе России, хочу отметить, что согласно комплексному плану реализации климатической доктрины до 2020 года предусмотрено мероприятие по внедрению инновационных технологий на основе использования атомной энергии с целью ограничения выбросов парниковых газов в промышленности и энергетике. Таким образом, можно сказать, что правительство Российской Федерации рассматривает атомную энергетику как одно из направлений по снижению выбросов парниковых газов. Однако в экспертном сообществе мнение относительно того, является ли атомная энергетика альтернативной энергетике, основанной на ископаемом топливе, при переходе на низкоуглеродное развитие экономики, к сожалению, расходятся. Давайте обсуждать вместе и надеюсь на плодотворное и конструктивное сотрудничество и желаю всем участникам 8-го международного форума. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very, very much. Again, we keep the same theme, but now we turn the perspective to the nuclear international community, and we welcome Louis Chavali, who is now the chairman of the Intergovernmental Council of Rosatom. But to me, he is best known for his long term as Director General of the OECD Nuclear Energy Agency, and before that, a long experience from the nuclear industry. And when I Googled him to prepare for this, I found out we were working for Westinghouse at the same time. But enough of that. But with your long international background, how do you estimate the perspective of hydrocarbon sources reduction in developed countries? Let's take on one hand France with the highest proportion of nuclear generation, and Denmark with almost 40% of renewable energy. Then on the other hand, Germany is focusing on renewable energy development and at the same time phasing out nuclear energy, which will be bound to hydrocarbons. What will the actual reduction be in these countries? The floor is yours.
Many thanks for this question. First of all, let me say that the situation in Denmark or Germany is not what it looks like. It looks like Denmark has 40% of renewables. Electricity doesn't consider political borders. What it is important is the size of the electricity grid. Denmark is integrated with many other countries in the Central European grid, so 40% is just an anecdote. It's a very tiny part of the electricity that the Danish people receive, because what they receive is the result of the huge grid. In the case of Germany, also it's very interesting the decision of phasing out nuclear, because they are going to build renewables. That's very nice, and everybody will be happy if that will be the case. The reality is that Germany is using more coal than ever, increasing the emissions of CO2. Well, but these, I would say, these are anecdotes. I think it's necessary to have a global view of what is happening, as Lars, you were asking me about the developed countries. The developed countries are seriously committed with reducing CO2 emissions. This is a fact. And I think everybody understands that the only solutions in the electricity sector is to increase nuclear and renewables. But nuclear and renewables are very different. Nuclear is very good for base loads. It competes for the base load production of electricity with coal and gas, and has the very good asset that it doesn't emit CO2. So the replacement of gas and coal by nuclear is a very positive regarding the reduction of CO2 emissions. On the other hand, renewables are very interesting and very important, and I think we should encourage the development of renewable sources. But renewable doesn't compete with nuclear because it's not good for base load. Electricity cannot be stored, and sometimes there's wind, sometimes not. Sometimes there is sun, even in my country, but not the whole day. So logically, I think you have to combine these two things. So I think the understanding is clear in the developed countries, but the problem is how to transfer that in an action plan which is suitable with the expectations of the society, with the development of the economy, and with the existing situation. In Europe, in spite that people can consider, looking at Denmark, Germany, that the future of nuclear is not very attractive, the number of countries which are committed with nuclear, either constructing nuclear power plants or committed to and wanted to build nuclear power plants is very long, longer than Denmark, Germany, or even Switzerland or Belgium. France, the UK, Russia, Belarus, Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Finland, and I'm missing Turkey also. I'm missing, I'm sure, some of them. So there is a significant number of countries which are going ahead with more nuclear. Other countries are not building nuclear, but you have to take into account that in many countries in Europe there is an excess of installed capacity because of the economic crisis. The economy is not working well, is not growing well for the last 8-10 years, and logically there is a surplus of electricity in many countries, including my country, Spain. So I would say that little by little the evolution in Europe will go in line with this combination of nuclear and renewables. If you look to other areas of the world where there are developed countries, well, in America, especially United States, is very happy that they have discovered immense resources of gas and oil, and while the gas keeps the price very, very low, it will be very difficult to justify to have new investments on nuclear, although they are building 4 nuclear power plants. While they change coal by gas, they will be reducing emissions of CO2, so they have some time there to reduce emissions. But when coal is minimized, I think if they want to reduce CO2 emissions, they will have to come to nuclear. And these 4 units which are being developed are a clear signal of that there is a future there. If you look at Asia, Korea, as you know, is developing nuclear power plants, not to say China, which really has an impressive program. And Japan, as you know, is under the syndrome of Fukushima. We have to understand the situation. So as a summary, I would say that the developed countries are really committed and the future is nuclear and renewables.
Thank you very much. Your message was loud and clear, Louis. So now we turn to a very central person, not to say the central person in ATOMEXPO-2016, and naturally then also in this session, and that is to go to Sergei Kirienko, who is CEO of State Atomic Energy Corporation, Rosatom. He's been the Prime Minister, member of the Russian Parliament, and became in 2005 Director of the Federal Agency for Atomic Energy that later was transformed into Rosatom. Mr. Kirienko, as one of the leaders of nuclear energy on a global scale, what is your opinion on what the nuclear industry can offer to the world in terms of reducing CO2 emissions today, while providing consumers with reliable sources of energy? The floor is yours.
Спасибо, уважаемый господин Ларсон, уважаемые коллеги. Действительно, в последнее время в логике Парижского саммита углеродной энергетики очень много сравнений возникает атомной энергетики и возобновляемой. Какая лучше, какая больше вклад может внести. Я абсолютно убежден, что эти сравнения неправильны. Нельзя обсуждать, какая лучше. Вопрос скорее в том, каков оптимальный баланс и для мира в целом, и для каждой отдельно взятой страны. Что дает атомная энергетика для выполнения решений Парижского саммита? Ну, конечно, самое главное, и господин Комби об этом говорил в своем первом выступлении, конечно, самое главное — это уменьшение выбросов СО2. Но вот я взял данные Международного энергетического агентства. Все атомные станции, работающие в мире, за последние 45 лет предотвратили выброс 56 гигатонн СО2. А атомные станции России каждый год будут предотвращать выброс 711 миллионов тонн. Это примерно количество СО2, которое все автомобили России выбрасывают за 6 лет эксплуатации. Вот за год российские атомные станции компенсируют 6-летний выброс всех автомобилей в стране. По-моему, говорит само за себя. Это первый и главный аргумент. Второй важнейший аргумент. Мы говорим о правильном балансе. Ветер, солнце, геотермальный, все очень правильно и очень здорово. Надо активно поддерживать эти источники, но с пониманием того, что не везде они доступны в таком количестве. Вот, как правильно говорил Бруно Комби, даже во Франции, довольно теплой стране, летом солнечные батареи дают хороший источник, зимой с этим уже возникают определенные проблемы. Ну а у нас на Крайнем Севере эти проблемы значительно больше. Поэтому, конечно, второй важнейший вклад атомной энергетики — это базовая нагрузка. Потому что и для домохозяйств, но особенно для промышленности, почему сегодня такое значение развитию атомной энергетики придают страны с динамично развивающейся экономикой. Нужна гарантия базовой нагрузки, без которой невозможно реализовать ни один инвестиционный проект в промышленности. Нужна гарантия цены долгосрочной. Вот важнейший вклад атомной энергетики — это гарантия дешевой, стабильной базовой нагрузки. И второе — это высочайший уровень предсказуемости цены. Потому что если в газовых станциях или нефтяных, угольных станциях большая часть стоимости киловатт-часа произведенной электроэнергии — это стоимость сырья, но которая, конечно, будет колебаться, и последние десятилетия показывают, какие непредсказуемые это колебания, то в стоимости киловатт-часа атомной станции 4%, 5% максимум — это стоимость урана. Стоимость урана тоже колебалась в достаточной степени за последние годы, но это никак не сказалось на себестоимости и, главное, на продажной цене киловатт-часа, производимого атомными станциями во всем мире. Дает высочайшую предсказуемость для любого инвестора, дает высочайшую предсказуемость для правительства любой страны. Ну и, конечно, важнейший фактор — это фактор энергетического потенциала. Ну, абсолютно убежден, что человечество всегда будет стремиться к тому, чтобы достать максимальный потенциал, который дарован нам на планете, на которой мы живем. Вот общеизвестная вещь. 98% всех энергетических запасов, имеющихся у нас на планете, сосредоточены в 3 элементах. Это уран 238, это дейтерий а это торий, ну, чуть-чуть летит. Значит, 98%. На все остальное, на весь газ, на всю нефть, уголь, возобновляемые источники, на все это вместе 2%. Значит, ну и потенциал, цифры уже тоже звучали, понятно, что сжигание 1 килограмма урана дает там, почти в 88 тысяч раз большее количество электроэнергии, чем сжигание 1 килограмма угля, и при этом не дает никакого выброса СО2. Мне кажется, это основные аргументы. Другой вопрос, это, конечно, будет требовать и от атомной генерации соответствия. Мы должны говорить о малых и мобильных установках, которые обеспечат как раз такие территории, как Крайний Север. Мы должны говорить о большей маневренности атомных станций, которые не только базу, но и колебания потребления будут обеспечивать. И, конечно, мы говорим сегодня о развитии нового поколения атомной энергетики, новое поколение технологий. 2 недели назад в России состоялся физический пуск 4-го блока, 6-го в полном смысле Нововоронежской атомной станции. Это первый блок поколения 3+, реально введенный с полным соответствием постфукусимских требований, который был спроектирован и построен полностью по современным постфукусимским требованиям, обеспечивающий абсолютную безопасность. Ну а следующий шаг — это, конечно, совместная работа, которую мы ведем с нашими партнерами из многих стран. Это следующее поколение замыкания топливного цикла. Мы рассчитываем, что это быстрые реакторы. В прошлом году у нас введем в полную эксплуатацию БН-800, быстрый реактор, обеспечивающий полное использование 238-го изотопа урана. Ну и следующий проект «Прорыв», который сейчас реализовывается в Томской области, это уже полное замыкание топливного цикла. То есть не только СО2, но и отходов не будет давать атомная энергетика, что позволит нам всем вместе уже точно сказать, это самая зеленая энергетика. Мы уверены, что она должна вносить очень серьезный вклад в решение Парижского саммита и безуглеродную энергетику в мире. Спасибо.
Again, we keep our theme and topic, and we also keep the perspective of the industry. But we change to a representative from an industrial company that supplies components, systems and services to the nuclear industry. And we welcome Harry Holt, who is the President Nuclear of Rolls-Royce. Harry has held different management positions in the company and was previously the company's Group Operations Strategy Director. So my question to you is, what are Rolls-Royce's plans, prospects and vision for carbon-free technologies? The floor is yours, Harry.
Lars, thank you very much. I think we've got some slides, if they can be put up on the screen, and you can pass me the controls. So I thought I would just start by talking briefly about Rolls-Royce, the power systems company, because I'm sure a number of people in the audience still believe that we make motor cars. In fact, we sold that bit of the business 30 years ago. We are in fact a power systems company. We produce better power for a changing world on the land, in the air, with our jet engines, and on the sea. Divided into 5 different business units, of which nuclear is one. And very quickly, the other 4 are civil aerospace business, making jet engines for large commercial aircraft and corporate jets. A defense aerospace business, where we are one of the leading suppliers of defense aero engines in all segments of defense markets, supplying over 160 armed forces worldwide. A power systems business, producing high-speed and medium-speed diesel engines and complete propulsion and drivetrain solutions into a number of different markets, from land defense, marine, naval, construction, rail, oil and gas and power generation. And then the other business being marine, where we're the leading provider of complete, complex, integrated propulsion and handling systems into the offshore, merchant and naval maritime markets. And we have our equipment on over 30,000 commercial vessels worldwide. The nuclear business, which is my great privilege to be leading at the moment, is split into 2 sides. First of all, a defence business, where for over 50 years we've been the technical authority and sole provider of nuclear steam raising plants to Britain's Royal Navy, and we provide support to those plants throughout the entirety of the product life cycle. And then a civil nuclear side of our business, where we have three principal offerings. First of all, services and projects, where we provide our reactor vendor and utility operator customers with integrated long-term solutions throughout the life cycle of nuclear power plants, from conceptual design phase work all the way through obsolescence management and plant life extension. Secondly, we're an independent global supplier of safety critical instrumentation and control systems, which we've been doing for nigh on 50 years now, helping our customers to improve the safety, reliability, availability and effectiveness of their plants. We're deeply and heavily referenced worldwide, with over 200 of our safety critical I&C systems in operation today across 20 different countries, and we've built up over 3,000 reactor years of successful and safe operation of those systems. We are agnostic on the technology that we support. Our safety systems can go on all reactor technologies, and we can support our customers again throughout every phase of the life cycle, from new build through to modernisation and retrofit, and of course ongoing long-term support to our systems while they're in service. We're doing a lot of work at the moment with Rosatom, both domestically and in their export market, helping the new build project in Hanekivi, and also the modernisation and retrofit program in Navisa with our colleagues from Fortum. We obviously heavily reference in France with EDF, where we have our systems on all 58 of France's reactors, and are undergoing a major modernisation project across all 20 of their 1,300 megawatt fleet, and in China helping with the new build of the CPR 1000 reactors. So, as I said, deeply and heavily referenced in our I&C business. And then the third arm is our emergency diesel generator business, where we provide the gensets, the I&C systems, the starter and other ancillary systems to provide our customers with a complete solution for the provision of emergency power. Again, 300 of our systems in operation worldwide in 15 different countries, predominantly helping our customers both in their domestic and their export markets. An exciting part of the business as far as we're concerned, with lots of opportunities for growth across the entirety of the product life cycle. We believe that we can act as an independent supplier to the industry, helping our reactor vendor and utility customers both in their domestic and their export markets. We have an ambition to play a leading role in the emerging UK small modular reactor market. And thirdly, perhaps most interestingly, we can see a very significant opportunity for the industry in the field of data analytics, digitalization, big data, call it what you will. We certainly don't believe that this industry is going to be exempt from the substantial changes that digitalization is bringing about in other sectors. And we have decades of experience as a group at harnessing data and the power of advanced analytics to provide services for our customers in other markets. For example, engine health monitoring and aircraft health monitoring and fuel efficiency services that we provide into the aerospace market. And we believe very firmly that we can leverage that experience, those skills and that analytical expertise to provide similar services into this sector, in order to help our utility customers make the operation of their plants even more competitive and effective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harry. We are now coming to a sector that I'm very proud and happy that we could talk about, and that is the business and technology development world. And we're very glad to welcome Viktor Vekselberg, who is president of Renova Group at Skolkovo Innovation Center. Viktor Vekselberg is a well-known Russian businessman and a big investor in oil, coal and solar energy. He is the owner and president of Renova Group, a large Russian conglomerate, close to Kremlin, overseeing the Skolkovo project, aimed to help and modernize the Russian economy through a vast number of high-tech startups. So my question to you is, what's your general view of the prospective global energy balance decarbonizing? The floor is yours.
Спасибо большое. Я хотел бы поддержать акцент, который был сделан Сергеем Кириенко, о том, что ни в коей мере не надо сегодня заниматься вопросами противопоставления тех или иных источников энергии, а надо научиться структурировать рациональные энергетические балансы на тех или иных рынках. Но очень полезно и важно понимать те основные тренды, которые на сегодняшний день существуют в мире. И я бы хотел привести вам несколько цифр для того, чтобы вам было проще ориентироваться по тому, как развивается сегодня мировая энергетика с точки зрения доли в ней возобновляемых источников энергии. Здесь я вам приведу данные 2015 года по источнику Bloomberg. Вот так или иначе, мне кажется, они будут наглядно характеризовать те тренды, которые существуют. Так вот, я вам скажу, что в прошлом году, в 2015 году, объемы ввода новых энергетических мощностей на основе возобновляемых источников энергии уже превысили углеводородную энергетику. В цифрах это выглядит так: 164 гигаватта электроэнергии были построены новых мощностей на ВИА, и 110 гигаватт это традиционные углеводородные источники. Тренд налицо. На сегодняшний день возобновляемые источники опережают существенно по своему развитию. Второй фактор, который я хотел бы вам сказать, это, конечно же, экономические показатели. Существует достаточно расхожее мнение о том, что возобновляемые источники на сегодняшний день являются все еще существенно дорогими и не сопоставимы по своей эффективности с традиционными нашими производителями. Так вот, за последние 5 лет себестоимость производства единицы электроэнергии из возобновляемых источников сократилась вдвое, практически на 100%. Если эффективность традиционных источников мы можем измерять единицами процентов роста эффективности, а в некоторых технологиях они просто уперлись в свои системные ограничения, то потенциал роста в альтернативной энергетике на ближайшие 5 лет остается еще приблизительно такой же. Третий показатель – это, увы, но традиционно мы подходим к анализу с точки зрения объема капитальных ресурсов. Так вот, более естественном, более важном анализе, связанном с себестоимостью жизненного цикла или производства единицы энергии в рамках жизненного цикла, сегодня солнечная энергия, в частности, уже сопоставима с угольной и превосходит ее. Если на единицу, на мегаватт-час $60 в солнечной энергии и $90 в угольной энергии. Все это говорит о том, что, безусловно, у нас существует ярко выраженный тренд по отношению к тому, что баланс будет меняться. Баланс будет меняться, будут появляться значительные доли возобновляемых источников энергии. Пока сегодня это существует на развитых рынках. Лидерами традиционно являются это Китай, это Америка, это Япония. И цифры выглядят фантастически. В прошлом году общий объем инвестиций в альтернативные источники энергии составил порядка 330 миллиардов долларов. Это говорит о том, что в принципе человечество или общемировая экономика сделала для себя определенный вывод, и мы сегодня двигаемся в сторону увеличения доли производства энергии из альтернативных источников. На горизонте 40-го года в энергобалансе Германии это будет порядка 50% по планам. Индия 40%, более 20% Китай и Япония. Если себе представить общие масштабы объема, это очень существенные и важные. На этом фоне, конечно, давайте посмотрим, что происходит у нас в России. Россия богатейшая углеводородная страна. Мы мировой лидер по производству газа, нефти, угля. И у нас существует очень развитая углеводородная энергетика. И на этом фоне, конечно же, принимать нам серьезные инвестиционные решения по тому, чтобы оказать поддержку альтернативной энергетике, сталкивается с существенными системными проблемами. Несмотря на то, что российское правительство уже более 3 лет тому назад приняло ряд законодательных и нормативных актов по поддержке альтернативной энергетики, всех ее видов, и солнечной, и ветряной, и других источников, на сегодняшний и поставила цели, что к 2020 году у нас должно быть в общем балансе энергии 4%, я подчеркиваю, только 4%. Сегодняшние тренды и так, как развивается ситуация в России, мы фантастически отстаем даже от основных показателей. На сегодняшний день у нас, дай бог, достигнут уровня 1–1,5% в общем балансе. Поэтому мне кажется, что и сегодняшняя встреча, и дискуссия, и с одной стороны давление с точки зрения снижения выбросов в энергетику, с другой стороны появление зеленой энергетики предопределяют необходимость значительно более существенных решений, более качественного и ускоренного движения в области создания и появления новых источников энергии. Здесь бы я хотел, я очень извиняюсь, реагировать на слова по поводу того, что нету солнца, нету солнечной энергии. Это не совсем так. На сегодняшний день уже появляются технологии, где генерация работает и при отсутствии прямых солнечных лучей. Главное, чтобы был свет. И я бы хотел сказать, что первые электростанции солнечные, сегодня построенные в России, это территории, конечно, с одной стороны солнечные, это Оренбургская область, это Башкирия, но и традиционно относящиеся в наших с вами понятиям к удаленным северным участкам, это Бурятия. И это открывает новые ниши для альтернативной энергии, в частности солнечной. Это обособленные территории, которые сегодня снабжаются за счет такого понятия, как северный завод, которые даются очень дорого, и солнечная энергия уже сегодня может вполне реально конкурировать с традиционными источниками. Поэтому я бы хотел выразить уверенность в том, что тот потенциал, которым обладает Россия по созданию полноценной, интегрированной, альтернативной энергетики, будет реализован в ближайшее время. Я хотел бы привести пример. Вы знаете, например, что очень популярная и высокопотенциальная технология в Солнце, так называемая тонкопленочная, была в свое время придумана советскими учеными. В 70-е годы инженера в Академии наук, проведя исследования, разместив в открытой печати результаты своих исследований, а потом благополучно забыв о том, что было бы неплохо защитить это патентом, отдали эту инициативу нашим международным коллегам. Через 20 лет появилась новая отрасль, новая индустрия, а мы с вами опять на сегодняшний день должны догонять эту тему. И здесь я хотел бы, конечно, плавно перейти к вопросу об инновациях и о тех усилиях и том потенциале, который лежит в области реализации огромного интеллектуального потенциала нашей российской науки. Атомная отрасль, я бы сказал бы так, именно атомная, не только атомная энергетика, это чрезвычайно высокотехнологическая индустрия, которая сочетает в себя самые современные передовые технологии в самых разнообразных отраслях деятельности. Это и энергомашиностроение, это появление новых материалов, это и лазерная техника, это и робототехника. И мне бы очень хотелось верить в то, чтобы один из системообразующих элементов нашей российской экономики, атомная отрасль была тем самым локомотивом, который бы способствовал развитию инноваций, который бы способствовал появлению новых знаний в нашей стране. И мне бы очень хотелось, чтобы формат нашего партнерства, которое существует между фондом Сколково и корпорацией Росатом, как раз давал возможность нашим молодым предпринимателям, нашим молодым ученым, исследователям находить возможности реализовывать у себя, здесь, внутри нашей страны, тот огромный потенциал и тот огромный спрос, который таит в себе атомная энергетика. Но на сегодняшний день мы имеем очень развитые партнерские отношения практически со всеми корпорациями мира, и еще раз повторю, в самых разнообразных отраслях, и до сих пор качественно недоиспользуем тот потенциал, который содержится в Росатоме. Я пользуюсь площадкой этой конференции, обращаюсь к руководителю Сергею Владимировичу, уверен, вы человек очень верящий в наш российский научный интеллектуальный потенциал, и обязательно им воспользуйтесь. Поэтому альтернативная энергетика и тот задел, который существует у нас в стране, и те технологические решения, которые у нас есть, я думаю, уверен, найдут применение в корпорации Росатом. Спасибо большое.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wexelberg. So we now go to a European country that has decided to be new nuclear power. We go to Hungary and we welcome Attila Asudi, who is a Special Commissioner for Nuclear in Hungarian Prime Minister's office. He's a professor of nuclear energy and nuclear safety at the Institute of Nuclear Techniques at Budapest University of Technology and Economics. He's been the director of this university for 10 years, and now he's responsible for the maintenance of the capacity of the PAX nuclear power plant as governmental commissioner since 2014, when the Hungarian Prime Minister appointed him to this position. Today, Attila, the Hungarian NPP PAX provides 40% of your country's need, and you are now building new nuclear power plants. What's the reason why you decided to build new power plants? Was it environment, preservation of jobs, high-tech engineering, or was it all of them together? Please give us some guidance. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Let me explain why Hungary decided to maintain its nuclear production capacity for sustainable, affordable affordable electricity production and for the security of supply. Before going into details, I would like to remind you that after 30 years of Chernobyl accident and 5 years after the Fukushima accident, we have to remember the severe lesson what we learned from those accidents. In my view, in both cases, the root cause of the accidents was design failure. In Chernobyl, the positive void coefficient. In Fukushima, the wrong selection of the design basis was the root cause, and it shows clearly that the design has an extremely important aspect in the safety. So the safe power plant begins with the right design. And for the right design, we need good explanation of requirements. What kind of power plants do we need in the future? We in Hungary use Russian technology since the 80s. We have one single site, the Paks power plant, with 4 BVR 440 units, which produce approximately 1/3 of our electricity. The main objective of the Hungarian government is to maintain this capacity, because in the 30s these units will be shut down. They will reach their 50 years lifetime, and we have to replace them to have enough baseload power available in the country. In January 2014, the government decided to conclude an intergovernmental agreement with Russia, and in the framework of that intergovernmental agreement, we developed 3 different implementation agreements. One of those agreements is the EPC contract for the construction of 2 new VVR 1,200 units on the site. In the framework of this EPC contract, we precisely defined what kind of power plant do we assume from the Russian supplier, and this is the very comprehensive, detailed list of requirements explaining all the safety and technical details based on the Hungarian Nuclear Safety Code, based on the European utility requirements, and based on different international documents. In these requirements, we already investigated and considered the lessons learned from the past accident, especially the Fukushima accident. You have to know that in nuclear power, the design for normal operation is quite easy task. Not only for the normal operation, but also for anticipated operational occurrences, and for design-basis accidents, we need to design the plant with the functions which can be fulfilled in very extreme situations. Based on the Hungarian Nuclear Safety Code, within the design basis, all natural hazards have to be considered which have frequency more than once per 100,000 years. So it means that extreme weather conditions, earthquakes, other natural phenomena have to be taken into consideration in the basic design, in the design basis, which have a probability higher than 10 to minus 5 per year. This is quite challenging to cope with, but additional to that, because of the Fukushima lessons, we decided, or the regulator decided, to extend the design basis for the design extension conditions. These are very special situations in the power plant which are caused by complicated, complex sequences or events, and based on the Hungarian Nuclear Safety Code, the new units constructed by Rosatom have to cope with those complex events. For the design extension conditions, the reactor systems have to be designed, and even for the so-called Deck 2 severe accidents, the integrity of the double wall containment has to be kept. It means that for these very complex events, the radioactivity can be kept within the facility, and therefore, for very extreme situations, the emissions from the plant will be really, really limited. So with the passive containment heating and with other severe accident management tools, the plant will be able to keep all radioactivity within the containment, even in a case when the whole core is melted and huge amount of hydrogen has been produced. This design basis is the guarantee that the plant will have negligible effect on the environment. And this has also effect on the licensing. We already started the environmental licensing of that plant, and because of that design basis, we can ensure that during severe accidents, during Fukushima-like accidents, the emission will be so limited from the plant that no urgent or late evacuation will be needed outside the 800 meters circle of the plant. So in fact, the effects of a severe accident will remain on the site, and this is very different from the Chernobyl or from the Fukushima accidents. When we started the environmental licensing end of 2014, we decided to visit all the settlements and cities and villages around the plant. Myself and together with my team, I visited 41 settlements, informed the citizens directly on the possible environmental effects of the construction and the future operation of those units. We met more than 3,000 people, and it was extremely interesting that the questions were not related to the safety, but they asked for workplaces, they asked for future cooperation between the plant and the region, but the safety of the plant was not questioned. I think the selection of this kind of design basis was a guarantee to have a very effective environmental licensing and have a very effective consultation with the public. We extended that process to other countries as well. In line with the ESPO convention, we invited 30 countries to the licensing process. 11 countries asked for real discussion, and we went to those countries, had public hearings and expert consultations, and we were able to answer all those questions. I think the design philosophy of VVR 1200 with the active and passive safety system, with the double wall containment, which is designed for heavy airplane crash, is a guarantee that the plant will have negligible effect on the environment. Additional to that, I have to mention that we have a lot of experience with the Russian technology. We are operating VVR units since 30 years, so we have collected more than 120 years operational experience, and we can use this experience in the future with the new units. So what we are doing is maintaining the capacity of nuclear production in Hungary, which is in line with the European energy policy. If you read the Pink report, which has been issued by the Commission a few weeks ago, you will see the same objective, maintaining the nuclear capacity in Europe. On the cost, very shortly, we can produce with those units electricity on the cost level between 50 and 57 euro per megawatt hour, which is a very competitive price. This is a cheap source of baseload electricity which is needed in the country. Our analysis shows that in the future the electricity price on the market will be definitely higher than that cost what I mentioned before. This analysis is based, for example, on the German Ministry of Economics. They say that in the 30s, the electricity price on the market will be well above 60 or even above 80 euro per megawatt hour. So with the plant having a cost of electricity in the range of 50 and 57 euro per megawatt hour, this will be a very competitive source of baseload electricity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now go to a speaker from, we now go to a speaker from an industry where the industrial perspective is the electricity and heat producing industry, where his company has invested not only in his home country Finland, but also in Russia and in my home country Sweden. We welcome Pekka Lundmark, CEO of Fortum Corporation, which his position is held since September 2015. He has a wide-ranging management experience and strong track in international business. He was CEO of Konecranes and Hackman and has also held leading positions in Nokia. Welcome hit. Good to see you. Please give your view on nuclear energy role in shaping the energy balance of Finland and now Finland, as a northern country, is planning to make low-carbon energy balance. The floor is yours, Pekka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. Fortum is currently operating either as a sole owner or a co-owner 10 nuclear reactors in Finland and Sweden, and we are participating in new build-up projects of 2 reactors which are currently underway. We have altogether about 1/3 of our electricity production is based on nuclear, and altogether we are operating in 10 countries. We of course believe that, as many other people in this panel, that the world is moving towards an energy system which is based on infinite and renewable energy sources with very little CO2 emissions. This is a tough call since still today about 80% of the world's primary energy is based on fossil fuels. So it's easy to say that we go all the way to CO2-free. It will take time, but the journey has definitely started. It is a system where energy use and production merge in the sense that consumers become prosumers, producing and also selling their own electricity. Increased flexibility, not only on the production side, but also on the demand side, is a characteristic of the new energy system. In this system, electricity use will actually not decline, it will increase. As traffic becomes electric, industry processes are increasingly automated and homes are more and more filled up with more appliances. But before we can harness all the electricity and heat we need in the modern society from the sun, wind, waves and biomass, CO2-free nuclear power will indeed have a very important role to play. It is particularly important in replacing high-emitting and inefficient coal-fired plants in baseload production and for providing predictability to the energy system as more and more intermittent renewables enter the system. Unlike some other European countries, Finland is not planning on phasing out nuclear power or indirectly forcing operators to early closures with unreasonably heavy taxes and fees. We are also fortunate in the sense that we have constantly developed and improved the safety of our power plants, so we do not face the extensive modernization projects required elsewhere in Europe in the aftermath of the Fukushima accident. We are particularly proud of the fact that the 4 reactors that we are operating in Finland have constantly been rating on top of the scale internationally, both when it comes to load factors and their safety record. Furthermore, as a first in the world, Finland has granted a construction license for a final disposal facility of spent nuclear fuel to Posiva, an expert organization jointly owned by Fortum and TVO. Currently, nuclear power accounts for just over 1/4 of the electricity consumption in Finland. In the next decade, this share will actually grow as the new units in Olkiluoto and Hanhikivi are taken into use. At the same time, our own units in Loviisa are closing in on their lifetime in the late 2020s. They now account for approximately 10% of the Finnish electricity use, and we have not yet made a decision whether we will apply for a permit for their replacement. Ladies and gentlemen, as said, I believe that nuclear power is an important transition phase baseload provider as society moves towards a completely CO2-free energy system around the year 2050. But what would it take for nuclear power to have a role in the Nordics also after that? First and foremost, of course, nuclear power has to be safe. The importance of an operating model and culture based on continuous improvements cannot be overemphasized. It is the single most important prerequisite for a license to operate. Secondly, nuclear power has to be more affordable. As the safety standards have become more stringent, the complexity of the power plant design has increased. And this, as we all know, has resulted in significant costs and schedule overruns in new build projects in several countries. Right now, it looks like nuclear, unless this changes, soon cannot compete with the shrinking technology cost of renewables. Thirdly, nuclear should participate in the power market with the same terms as other CO2 production forms. Right now, in many European countries, nuclear is penalized with production and capacity taxes putting it to disadvantage compared to other CO2 production forms. On the other hand, proposed capacity support mechanisms to nuclear in some countries threaten the competitiveness of other energy-efficient production. We at Fortum believe that transparency and technology neutrality are the best ways to ensure the lowest cost of power generation on the societal level. What is the solution then? I believe the nuclear industry should work towards more standardized designs and better utilization of lessons learned from existing projects. Here, international harmonization of safety requirements and of other standards is key, and an area where we must continue our joint efforts. The goal should be that there is no need to redesign a nuclear power plant and make it first of a kind each time it is implemented in a new country. We could also strive for more simple designs. Full utilization of the potential of passive safety technologies and other innovations, for example, is a development point that we at Fortum have recognized. Sometimes complexity does not add to safety, only costs. Dear colleagues, as a CO2 production form, nuclear power can be a valuable tool in building tomorrow's energy system. Governments should enable this development by offering a fair and transparent operating environment, but it is up to us, the industry, to make sure nuclear power meets the society's high requirements on safety and that it at the same time is also economically viable. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Pekka. So we now continue with the international perspective, and we give the floor to Christophe Béhar, who is President of the Nuclear Society of France. Christophe is a well-known engineer in the nuclear industry. He's the chairman of Generation 4 International Forum, lecturer in both France and Russia, committee member of the research orientation of IRSN in France, and also a member of the scientific committee of the Kurchatov Institute in Moscow. Christophe, France has in fact already a relatively low carbon energy mix. This is done because of the nuclear power plants providing approximately 3/4 of electricity production. How do you think the nuclear energy platform will change in France? The floor is yours, Christophe.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Добрый день. First of all, I would like to recall, because it's very good, that in the long history of energy, it never happened that one type of energy replaced totally the previous one. It has always been added to the previous. It's why, in my opinion, nuclear energy will still play a major role in the production of electricity in my country. We have in France, finally, two main targets. The first one is energy saving. It's clear that when you do not use energy, you do not need to produce it. The second one is to work on the energy mix. And the global idea has been said here before by many people, is that we will have at the same time renewables on nuclear energy, which will replace petrol, coal and gas. Now, let us focus on nuclear energy. What kind of nuclear energy? If fusion represents interest, it will be only in the very long term, in my opinion, that commercial fusion reactors will be in operation. It's only with fission reactor that we will produce electricity in the middle and long term. At first, it is necessary to use closed fuel cycle even with light water reactors. In fact, there is no opposition between light water reactor and fast neutron reactor, which will be in operation later. Light water reactor, along with closed fuel cycle, is preparing the birth of fast neutron reactor fleet through the production of spent plutonium in MOX fuels. Why fast neutron reactor? You probably know it for three main reasons. One, the most important, is considering the criteria of Gen 4 forum. Clearly, only those reactors are able to allow the sustainability of nuclear energy. What are they able to do, those fast neutron reactors? First of all, they are able to burn every type of plutonium, which cannot be done in light water reactor. Second, they save the resources of natural uranium because they are much more efficient to use the isotope 238 of uranium. With those reactors, the uranium resources become very high, more than coal, petrol, and gas. For example, in France, by using only depleted uranium located in our enrichment plant and plutonium included in spent light water reactors, MOX fuel, it would be possible to produce energy for more than 3,000 years. Last point, those fast neutron reactors are able to burn minor actinides, helping strongly in that way to high radioactivity nuclear waste management and public acceptance, because burning minor actinides decreases strongly the potential radiotoxicity of high-level nuclear waste, bringing it to the potential radiotoxicity of a uranium mine only after 300 years of decay. That's why France has decided to develop fast neutron reactors cooled with sodium, with ASTRID, which stands for Advanced Sodium Technological Reactor for Industrial Demonstration, for the middle term, and to study fast neutron reactors cooled with gas for the long term. In parallel, studies of closed fuel cycle dedicated to fast neutron reactors were launched, based on the experience we still have on industrial scale in La Hague for light water reactors. The main difference between the two closed fuel cycles is the problem of criticality and dissolution of spent MOX fuel, which contains more plutonium compared to MOX fuel used for light water reactor. In addition, we decided to develop specific advanced technologies to decrease CAPEX and OPEX of a future reprocessing plant. Development of reactors, as you know, requires many efforts, and it is of interest to share this effort. This is what is done with the ASTRID project and with Russian-French fast reactor joint studies. About the planning of development of fast neutron reactor, I would like to add something. Some people may say, and I hear it sometimes in France, probably it happens in other countries. So they say, but why do we develop those fast neutron reactors now? We have time. Because in this century, light water reactors will still have the major role to produce electricity. This last part of the sentence is true, but not the first part. We cannot forget that fast neutron reactors with dedicated closed fuel cycle have to be designed, built, and tested in operation first, and after, they need to demonstrate, together with dedicated fuel cycle, that multi-recycling of plutonium is possible, as well as burning of minor actinides, this on industrial scale. This is why, of course, we have to, and we need, and we did it, to start studies 10 years ago. Now, in France, we are pursuing those studies. Thank you for your attention.
As a moderator, I think I failed to try to make this first part done in a fast way. So what I will do is I will go through a lot of questions here to the panelists, but you're only allowed to answer in 1 minute. That's the maximum. So the questions should be short and the answers should be short. Is that okay with all of you? Very good. So I start with a question to Semyon Levi. How much impact did nuclear power actually have in the overall discussions in Paris? I go to the next question. It's actually to Victor Wechselberg. How do you value competition between various types of renewable energy? Short answer, please.
Я хотел бы сказать, что надо быть готовым к очень кардинальным изменениям, которые могут произойти в технологии. 10 лет тому назад ни у кого в кармане не было мобильного телефона. Ситуация на нефтяном рынке в связи с революционными технологическими решениями, связанными с шельфовым газом и нефтью, вы сегодня наблюдаете. Я уверен в том, что эффективность ветра, солнца, извлечения биомасс, и скажу главное, мы не говорили сегодня о хранении энергии, будет решена проблема хранения энергии, баланс энергетический изменится кардинально. Поэтому надо быть к этому готовым. И особенно нашей российской экономике быть более гибкой и более оппортунистичной. И не следовать догмам, которые потом нас традиционно все время догоняют. Пока петух не клюнет, у нас ничего не происходит. Поэтому я бы сказал, что нам надо быть к этому готовым.
Thank you. My third question is to Louis Chavari. I know that you have some interesting views of nuclear and environmental technologies in different market conditions. Could you please share those thoughts with us very shortly?
Well, yes, I think one thing which is very important is what is the global structure of a country to absorb electricity from different sources. Normally people compare the cost of generating electricity between different sources, and we all know that renewables are significantly much more expensive than coal, gas or nuclear. Onshore wind is approaching those, but these renewable sources live out of subsidies. But this is only the generation cost. If you make an analysis, as the OECD has done, about the cost of integrating the electricity in the grid to allow to be supplied, while coal, gas and nuclear needs between $1 and $3 per megawatt hour to be integrated in the grid, renewables need between $17 and $50. In my country, the cost of generating electricity, because we have a lot of renewables, is only 40%. The other 60% are not generation costs, like for example adapting the grids to absorb a very distributed and very, let's say, soft electricity. This is a very important element.
Thank you very much. I now go to Sergei Kirienko. We have now new nuclear countries coming on board. How can you assist them so they obtain the right competence in an efficient way? Please.
Спасибо. Мне кажется, что очень правильно сказал господин Лундмар в своем выступлении, что не надо каждой из новых стран проходить весь путь сначала. Это неправильно, и самое главное, это не даст гарантии вот той самой транспарентности, единым нормам и правилам. Мы очень рады, что сегодня очень эффективное сотрудничество и между компаниями атомных стран, эффективное сотрудничество между органами надзора разных стран. Здесь очень важна роль МАГАТЭ, международных организаций, таких как Атомная, сообщества поставщиков топлива, таких как Всемирная ассоциация операторов атомных станций, мы убеждены, что должны действовать абсолютно одинаковые требования по безопасности, по надежности во всех странах, и это накладывает особую ответственность на страны, обладающие всей полнотой технологий в атомной энергетике. Это ответственность не только в том, чтобы развивать у себя. Понятно, здесь присутствует действительно в Финляндии уникальный опыт, у Франции уникальный опыт, у России уникальный опыт. Наша ответственность не только в том, чтобы самим пользоваться благами атомной энергетики, но в том, чтобы дать такую возможность всем нашим партнерам во всех странах. И задача не только в том, чтобы поставить саму атомную станцию, но и помочь совершенствовать законодательство, провести обучение людей, помочь становлению национальных органов надзора, гарантировать поставки топлива на весь жизненный цикл, гарантировать сервисы, услуги по выводу из эксплуатации, помочь с взаимодействием с общественным мнением и с экологической экспертизой, как вот господин Асоди правильно говорил на примере только что прошедшего согласования в Евросоюзе, на примере АЭС ПАКШ. Мне кажется, вот такая задача гарантирует возможность любой стране в мире доступа к благам мирного использования атомной энергетики. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kirenko. I have the same question to Louis Tavares. With your perspective, how do you see the need and practical possibility of harmonized nuclear regulations in the world?
Well, this is a very important question because our societies expect to have the same safety criteria all around the world. This is a fundamental issue. And I have to say that the countries which have technology, nuclear technology, or are trying to develop nuclear power are joining forces through the Nuclear Energy Agency of the OECD, have developed a program of regulators which are sitting together already for 7 or 8 years in order to have the same safety criteria for each technology which is in the marketplace. And I think that this process is already giving fruits, and the same reactors like the EPR or the BBRs or the AP1000 are now having the regulators which are dealing and making the safety analysis working together in order to have the same criteria. So I think this is a very positive development.
Thank you very much. My next question goes to Christophe Behar. When do you think that generation 4 nuclear technology will be commercially available?
As I said during my talk, we need to build new prototypes of fast neutron reactor cooled with sodium. As you probably know, we had Gen 2 reactor or fast neutron reactor cooled with sodium in France, but we are working on a fast neutron reactor of Gen 4. That is, we are more specially working on safety of those types of reactor. So the main idea is to have one of the reactors, I mean prototype one, in operation around 2014 to get all the feedback, the experience of those fast neutron reactors to design and construct an industrial one before the end of the century. So the main idea for us is to go step by step. First of all, to build before the end of this century 3 reactors of that type of 1,000 electrical megawatt. This is to stop the increase of plutonium stockpile in MOX fuel, and then to see what will be the cost of natural uranium, and to increase, if necessary, the fleet of fast neutron reactor inside the fleet of light water reactor in France. So what I know is before the end of this century, a few, more than 3. After we will see economical reasons will drive us. Thank you.
Thank you. I have the same question to Sergei Kirienko again. How do you see introduction of General 4 nuclear technology from your perspective?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first part of your question. I didn't hear.
It's a Sergei Kirienko. So how do you see the introduction of General 4 nuclear technology?
В целом, я согласен с тем, о чем говорил Кристоф. Действительно, принципиальное условие в атомной энергетике на рынке предлагать только то, что имеет референтность. То, что ты построил у себя и гарантируешь безопасную эксплуатацию. Поэтому, на наш взгляд, четвертое поколение начинает появляться сегодня. То есть мы сейчас с ним работаем, но это пока не коммерческий продукт. На мой взгляд, шаг в этом направлении – это запущенный в промышленную эксплуатацию реактор БН-800, вот тот самый натриевый, быстрый реактор с натриевым теплоносителем, который в прошлом году у нас вступил в промышленную эксплуатацию на Белоярской атомной станции. В Северске, в Томской области, идет сооружение реактора со свинцовым теплоносителем. Это также, на наш взгляд, это две развилки. Мы уверены, что четвертое поколение – это быстрые реакторы. Вопрос, какой теплоноситель, но самый главный вопрос, здесь я с Кристофом бы полностью согласился, гораздо более важный вопрос – это топливный цикл. Поэтому задача не реактор сделать, задача сделать систему, реактор вместе с топливным циклом. Вот эта работа идет сейчас, у нас уже прошли успешные испытания уран-плутониевого топлива, плотного топлива, значит, который позволяет обеспечивать вот то самое потенциальное замыкание топливного цикла. С коммерческой точки зрения мы исходим из того, что в ближайшие 15 лет это время, когда в основном, конечно, коммерческим продуктом будут являться тепловые реакторы. Запас и потенциал этой технологии очень высок, тем более, что есть интересные перспективные разработки и по тепловым реакторам, которые на самом деле тоже позволяют использовать современное топливо и отрабатывать технологии замыкания топливного цикла. А вот где-то с горизонта 30-го года наступает время, когда активнее начнет включаться новое поколение реакторов. И мне кажется, так же, как и с возобновляемыми источниками, это тоже будет не конкуренция, а симбиоз, потому что наиболее правильно говорить о таких комплексных парках. Прогноз наш сейчас говорит о том, что, например, хорошее сочетание: один быстрый реактор, 4 тепловых реактора, и тогда отходы этих тепловых реакторов становятся топливом в замыкании цикла для быстрого реактора. Это хороший симбиоз с таким поэтапным и плавным переходом.
Yes, thank you so much. And I go to Bruno Combin and start again with the Generation 4 technology. There is a United States Hollywood film which is called Pandora's Promise that basically takes the same position as you and advocates General 4 technology. And my question to you is, how do you nuclear environmentalists communicate and cooperate internationally?
Thank you. Of course, communication is very important. I think there are two types of environmentalists. The old-fashioned type tends to be anti-technology, anti-nuclear, and is afraid of everything. If you listen to them too much, we're all doomed and we're all going to die. And they either don't propose any solutions or only solutions that do not work well. I think we have to be open-minded, and the new trend in environmentalists is open to progress, scientific innovation, is pro-nuclear, is not afraid to drive a car, and is constructing the future by being positive, having confidence, and thinking that science can also help to solve the problem. It's not only a solve problem, it's not just a problem. There are scientific solutions. So that is the trend that we are developing. When I started EFN in 1996, I was alone with a few friends. Then we developed. We have a positive, optimistic attitude to our action. Now we have incorporated branches in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, in Poland, in different countries, and we're very open to improving our efficiency to communicate even more, because this is something that the entire world and the planet needs for the future. Pandora's Promise, of course, is very good news. It's a major film which contributes to get the message across to a wide audience. So after 20 years of hard grassroots work, I'm very happy to see that we are joined by so many people, and we're relaying the message to a wider audience. This is very positive, and for the future we look forward to cooperating with all of you, because the question is not what other people can do for us, it's what we can do for the other people, what we can do to help the world, what we can do to build a better environment, to protect nature. So at EFN, I do my best, we all do our best, and you're all welcome to join us in this effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll follow up with a question to you again. when we look at the industry, what can the nuclear industry do in order to get more support from the environmentalists? They are also big actors here. What's your recommendation to them?
Yes, first of all, I think communication, once again, is very important, that you should not be afraid to go out to the public and to explain, to educate. That's what we do at EFN. There's a great gap and a misunderstanding for the moment, where most people think radiation is a problem, when in fact it's a solution. Many people are afraid when it's what we have to do. And so you have to fill this gap and offer more information, better information. And one advice is, do not speak just about the problems, that what happened at Chernobyl, what happened at Fukushima. Also speak about the good news, why it's successful, why it succeeds. By being more positive, you will get better results. So speak about the positive side of things. And of course, if we all get together in common goal with a dedicated mind, I'm sure we can reach that rapidly. You see, with the history is changing all the time. Just 1 or 2 generations ago, many people didn't even have electricity at all. Now we have it, but things are changing again. We have electric cars coming up. That's going to be a big change. For this, we need more clean electricity, not less. We have the internet, which has developed. We have so many new things that still need to be done. And we have the poorest countries in the world that are developing. So for them also, we need to build a better world. And that includes clean nuclear power as an essential part of the solution. And of course, as several of our lecturers have already underlined, there's no opposition between renewables and nuclear. In fact, we need every zero carbon source we can get in order to start phasing out carbon energies which are warming up the planet. This is an urgent and important task, and I encourage all of you to do your best. When I started building my eco house just less than 10 years ago, my carbon balance was very bad. By working on your own house, then on your own transportation, then on your own lifestyle, what you tell to your neighbors, to your family, to your friends, you speak around you. There's a lot of things that each of us can do. So if we all do our best, the future will be much better. Thank you.
Indeed, I agree with that. And now a question to Attila Sudi. What is your overall strategy for high-level nuclear waste in Hungary?
For high-level waste, we developed a new program in line with the Waste Directive of the European Union. So at this moment, we collect the high-level waste at the plant, and we will set up a final repository inside the country. Related to the spent fuel, we have interim storage in the country, and we are investigating the possibilities for reprocessing and the final storage of the waste coming from reprocessing. We keep also the option open for direct disposal, but I think for the future energy production, as many lecturers already mentioned, generation 4 reactors will be needed, therefore reprocessing will be necessary.
I'll also ask basically the same question to Christoph Behar. What, in your view, should be done by industry on the issue of high-level nuclear waste? What would your advice be, Christoph?
First of all, I don't think it's only a problem of industry, it's a problem of country. As you probably know, in France, we still have reprocessing for all our high-level light water reactor fuel. And it's a way to produce less high-level waste. But as I told you before, we want to move on. By burning minor actinides, I explained you what was the effect on the potential radiotoxicity of high-level waste. Another point which is very important is like, again, by using fast neutron reactor, high-level waste repository will be better managed. Why? I don't know in other countries, but in France, high-level waste repository, which is no under discussion and which may start operation in France around 2025. So high-level waste repository is a very rare resource and will be a very rare resource. So it has to be managed as a precious resource. Burning minor actinides may decrease strongly the footprint of the repository. And this by a quite big factor of 30. In other terms, you are able to put more high-level waste in a given volume. So you see there is a link between high-level waste management, fast neutron reactor. First, we put outside plutonium, even for light water reactor, we decrease the footprint. Second, we remove and burn minor actinides, we decrease again the footprint. This is the way for me to manage high-level waste repository as a very rare resource. Thank you.
Thank you. Talking about high-level waste, I have to go to Pekka again. I mean, you talked about this, but why was Finland the first to find a repository? Congratulations, by the way. But what was the reason why you were so successful, Pekka?
Yeah, the solution is already under construction. I have no answer to the question why we were the first. It may have to do with our country's track record and history in quite often being the first in supplying new technology. This goes to things like mobile phones, and a lot of kind of new steps in technology development have quite often first emerged in our country. That may have something to do with it, but it has also been a very good cooperation between the operators and the authorities. We have a nuclear safety authority that is known of its very strict requirements, but also very pragmatic approach to technological solutions. And the good cooperation between the operators and the safety authority, I think, is the answer. The site is under construction, 450 meters underground in the bed rock, and it has already taken a pretty good shape, and the estimate is that the first waste will be disposed of there sometime in the early 2020s.
If I may, maybe there was also good cooperation with Sweden on that end.
Yeah, Sweden is planning a similar type of solution, and of course there's a lot of exchange of ideas and cooperation there, but it seems that Sweden will be a little bit behind, but perhaps not all that much then.
I now go to Harry Holt, Rolls-Royce. When you talk about your total cooperation, the total company, how important is the nuclear sector in your overall low-carbon strategy, Harry?
So as I mentioned, the company's vision is better power for a changing world, and nuclear has to be amongst the very best sources of power for a world that must change to a carbon-free economy. That's why there's such significant emphasis within my company on the nuclear sector, in particular helping the global new build, whether that's Gen 3 reactors or SMRs, with the provision of project work, safety critical I&C systems, emergency diesel generators, and indeed even critical components within the reactor island. So that's a very important area of focus, but let's not forget the other area of focus, which is actually around our services business, to ensure that the pretty substantial existing fleet of nuclear power plants is able to go on working for longer, more effectively and more efficiently, so that they're able to compete economically with some of the other, at the moment, cheaper sources of power, as we see oil and gas prices, continuing to be at record lows. So two areas of focus for us, new build and also keeping the current fleet going more efficiently and effectively for longer. Thank you.
Let me follow up on this one. You talked in your speech about the impact of the IT and the digital revolution. How important do you think this revolution is for the nuclear industry, and what are its consequences? How big will the changes be?
Well, as I said earlier, I think the changes will be substantial. I don't see why this industry is going to be exempt from the changes that big data is bringing to bear in other sectors. We've had lots of experience of harnessing data and exploiting advanced analytics to produce data services for our other customers in different sectors. The provision of engine health monitoring services for our aero and diesel engines, the ability to help customers manage the availability of their platforms and the operation of their fleet. And it's fairly easy to see how we can leverage that experience into the nuclear sector to help operators optimize the performance of their plant, move to more condition-based maintenance, more sophisticated scheduling of their outage periods, and better management of obsolescent or obsolete equipment. So I believe that it's a big revolution. It's coming probably already in parts of our sector already, and we need to embrace it, because it's only by embracing it that we'll be able to operate the current fleet of plants as economically and as efficiently as they need to be to compete with other sources of power.
Thank you. I now have one final question, and that is to Sergei Kirienko also. It has to do with the Finnish plant Hanhikivi in Pyhäjoki. There Rosatom is a supplier, but we also decided to step in as a part owner. Do you consider this a special case, or do you think that this owner solution is a future way of risk sharing in large investment projects with long payback time?
Да, мы настолько уверены в экономической эффективности атомных станций, которые мы предлагаем нашим партнерам, что если законодательство соответствующей страны это позволяет, и если наши партнеры предлагают нам выступить не только поставщиком технологии, но и инвестором, мы с радостью это делаем. У нас есть несколько таких проектов, в которых, и мы, в общем, открыты к рассмотрению таких проектов дальше. При этом мы не претендуем на контрольный пакет. Вот действительно в АЭС Hanhikivi, на наш взгляд, это такой достаточно оптимальный баланс. Мы не претендуем на контрольный пакет. Нам очень комфортно от того, что акционерами в этом проекте на 2/3 являются финские компании, такие уважаемые компании, как Fortum, например. И очень важно, что там акционерами являются потребители. Это уникальный проект, поскольку заказчиками его выступают не компании, продающие электроэнергию. Основными заказчиками выступили компании, потребляющие электроэнергию. Это производители собрались вместе, сказали, хотим вот ту самую гарантированную цену на электроэнергию, хотим предсказуемость и долгосрочные гарантии соответствующие, поэтому у нас контракт построен по принципу контракта Манкала, в котором мы гарантируем долгосрочную цену. На 15 лет гарантируется долгосрочная цена, и этот же период позволяет полностью окупить затраты и получить соответствующий доход. Ну а для нас инвестиционно, это, конечно, не буду этого скрывать, для нас это возможность в том числе долгосрочно участвовать в этом проекте. Современные атомные станции, которые мы строим, будут эксплуатироваться не менее 80-100 лет. И, конечно, для нас это возможность такого более глубокого стратегического партнерства с нашими партнерами, когда не только построили, пустили станцию, сказали друг другу спасибо и разошлись. Мы связаны на многие годы вперед. Это ответственность, но я считаю, что это и большая возможность. Атомная энергетика отличается от всех остальных типов генерации электроэнергии очень большими жизненными циклами. Время строительства, 80-100 лет эксплуатации, вывод из эксплуатации. Это намного больше человеческой жизни, это намного больше любых политических периодов. И это как раз и задает требования к очень высокой степени доверия и требования к стратегическому партнерству. Вот только это дает гарантию безопасности. И поэтому мы очень признательны, я вот уже пользуюсь возможностью, понимаю, что вы не дадите мне больше слова, хотел бы поблагодарить всех наших партнеров, которые приехали на наш традиционный форум ATOMEXPO, потому что вот такая возможность постоянного общения, обмена мнениями, она тоже важнейший фактор долгосрочных гарантий, стабильности и надежности в развитии атомной энергетики. Поэтому спасибо вам большое.
Thank you so much, and this then ends the question and answer period, and we should go over to a question to the audience here. I need some advice from the organizers what actually to do here. I think there should be some instructions at the screen. Is Sergey here? Thanks, Sergey. Could you please take care of this? Track the thing.
Спасибо. Thanks a lot. So you have these voting machines, and now there will be two questions proposed to vote for you. You may choose one of the answers you like, but please push